Have you ever felt that you being
I'm ready for whatever
you being as attractive as you are has
appreciate
worked against you?
No.
No? It's always just been...
If I want to be sensitive about it and just focus on that, I can zero in on it and say, yeah, they've treated me unfairly because they just think I'm this, or every time I go on a show, it's opened with this. To me, I look at that as an advantage because who else as a young doctor would get the opportunity to go on nationwide television unless they were really good? I'm under no impression that they're inviting me because they think I'm brilliant.
Right. So
I like to believe that I have something to offer.
Sure.
And they just don't know about it yet because they're focused on the looks. But I say come for the scandal, stay for the content, or come for the controversy.
For me, it was always just kind of, when you were coming in and I was like, I wonder if it's ever worked against them in a professional setting, in that, one, I could see it as disarming. All of a sudden, people kind of maybe have the barrier down, so maybe it helps out. Or two, because you look so young, if that has also then worked against you, where someone's like, I want a second opinion, but maybe not.
No, I'm sure it has happened. I don't think I think about it much. Because if I spend enough time thinking about it,
Mike.
No, I actively don't think about it. So it's not like I'm like, oh, I'm just so happy all the time. I don't think about it.
Sure.
I just say, okay, like this happened. Okay, how do I adapt? I'm very practical when it comes to it. And that's why I'm a big fan of CBT. I don't know if you're familiar with it. Cognitive behavioral therapy.
No.
So that's basically like the most popular form of psychotherapy for those who are depressed, anxious, but it works for all sorts of things: addiction, abuse, victims, PTSD. And it's very practical. And it's basically asking yourself, what thoughts are you having that are irrational, dysfunctional, that are now leading you to feel depressed? Because it's actually your thoughts that cause you to feel depressed, not the fact that you're depressed and you have bad thoughts. Very common misconception. So for example, if you feel depressed and someone comes up to you, hey, snap out of it, they're an asshole because you can't change your feelings. But what you can do is you can change your thoughts. Very commonly what happens is, let's say I'm a student and I have 29 A's, I'm a straight A student, that's how I define myself.
Sure.
I get a C on a very hard course. I look at it, I'm like, I'm a total failure. I got a C and I harp over it, I'm a total failure. Now I take that sentence that I say to myself, I'm a total failure, that's gonna lead me to depression. If I can take that sentence, put it down on paper and say, what's the rational answer? I got one bad grade, all my other grades are great. If I improve here, I'll learn from this and I'll get better. Still sad, you're not like happy now, but you're not going into depression.
Sure.
And all of CBT is addressing a lot of these different irrational thoughts that we have. And there's different categories: black or white thinking, labeling, like feeling failure, either this person's evil or good, which is happening like crazy now online.
Sure.
Which is why I think everybody needs CBT. Because how often does it happen that a great person made one mistake, even a long time ago, that they've learned from, that we say, no, they're all evil.
Right.
No person, even if they're a murderer, is all evil. They may be great to their family, right? They may have done an evil act and they've did a heinous act or whatever we want to call it, but you can't say they're all evil. Because what if they're really nice to puppies?
I don't know if that gets to go into the equation for me personally.
But again, that's how I think about it in the mental health space. So every time people have these, like, mind reading is another common one. So we cross each other on the street, cross paths.
Sure.
I look at you to say hi, I wave, you don't even respond to me. And I'm like, wow, he must hate me. I'm reading your mind. But now you're walking out because you just lost your show. Whatever, I'm just giving a bad example. Something horrible happens in your life and you're all focused on that. You're not even looking at me. You're looking through me. But I'm mentally reading you and saying, oh, he hates me, I'm a bad person.
Sure.
That happens so often. So I really try and sit with my patients and do this type of therapy all the time because I do it even to myself. It's very easy.
So when you're talking about CBT, is it something that people do need to go to a medical professional, or there's like online resources or resources elsewhere?
It is technically something you should do with a therapist,
okay,
or a counselor or a doctor who's licensed to do this. But there are great books. Like the prime example that I always talk about is a book called Feeling Good.
Okay.
It's written about CBT to be performed on your own. And actually it's proven that if you have a mild case of depression, reading this book alone and doing the little exercises in it will help. Statistically, it's proven.
Statistically.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to blindly believe it, but I also am.
The study on it is crazy because they literally gave people the book
Mm-hmm.
and they made them do the exercise, and they gave a percentage of people who didn't read the book. That's not enough. At 2 weeks, they flipped it. They took away the book from the initial group, and then they gave it to the other group. And guess what? It completely reversed.
Wow.
So the book was making an impact.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah.